Hello, welcome to Rex Arthur Show. I'm Rex Arthur, and this is the place we discuss LGBTQIAAP issues. And today we want to discuss about marriage. And the reason why I want to talk about gay marriage, or marriage as it is called, is because when we put up the other video doing about concerning the Bermuda ban on same-sex marriage, of course there was a dislike, and I said, okay, fine, let me find out or think, when you see a dislike, you may wonder, someone may not like, there are very many things someone may not like about a video. And I had to go through my mind and find out what that thing was. And I realized, maybe people don't understand where the issue of a gay marriage and all this stuff is coming from. And I can't blame people, because especially, marriage is a very cultural institution. And the world has 6,000 languages, roughly. So that means there's roughly 6,000 cultural setups. And that means there's roughly over 6,000 types of marriages, or 600,000 cultural rules for marriage that differ from each other, from each community and each language speaking group. So that's what is happening to some people when they see gay marriage, or they hear, they can jump up and say, what is happening, when that's not the case. And it all boils down to what you define marriage as. Personally, I define marriage as a sexual union. Sexual, yes. Simply that. And for some people, they include in that definition cohabitation, whereby you stay with that person and you're with them for life, but it includes a sexual union. And for others, they believe that it includes paying of dowry to the parents of the lady you're going to marry, at least in parts of Africa. So anyway, that is the very many definitions. In short, what I'm trying to say, there are very many definitions. And then of course you have the legal definition, that is the country you're in takes time to define what marriage is. And of course there's Christian marriage, there's Muslim marriage, there's Hindu marriage, there's and as I've told you, there's 6,000 languages. So basically every tribe or every language speaking group has their type of marriage. And then even though in those 6,000 languages, they have Christians, Muslims, and Hindus, and Buddhists, and Jainists, and all the others, and even atheists get married. They also get married. And so anyway, now, so many people, they have their view of marriage that it is always between a man and a woman, because they are used to saying marriage is all about a wedding. A man wearing a suit and a woman wearing a white gown, and they say, wow, that is a marriage. And they conclude that's a wedding. If they don't see those things, to them, in their mind, there is no marriage that has taken place. And then there's another one who, if he doesn't see cows coming to his home and he's given his daughter in for marriage, to him it's like, no, it has not happened. The thing has not taken place. I need to see cows. And then he can say, yes, now there's a marriage that has taken place, or a wedding. so it's also an English problem. People want to pick up, they kind of marry the word wedding to marriage. But as I've told you, in my view, it is a sexual union, and preferably one that leads to cohabitation. Because for my view, without sex, there is no marriage. And I'm not meaning reproductive sex, I mean the union whereby you become one flesh with that person. That, to me, once that happens, that there's union that has taken place, and it's sometimes called consummation of a marriage. But for other people, they say it has to happen after the wedding. After the wedding, when you've exchanged your vows. But as I've said, people sleep around even before the wedding day. And so those are the things that happens to very many people. They end up having, they have joined with very many other people before they even married this other person. So anyway, that's my view. You don't have to take it. You can pick what you want and go with it. So anyway, this is now what I was seeing in that dislike on the video, and I said, no, maybe what people need to know is, like in Bermuda, of course, it is majorly a black populated island. These were people who were taken up there as slaves, and the Caribbean island is basically black. Yeah, majorly black, even though there are sprinklings of white people and Asians and blah blah blah. Yeah, so the issue now, and it's a very beautiful place, by the Caribbean is very lovely, and so by them banning the gay marriage, of course I already discussed this in the first video, which you should listen to. It was because of the referendum they had, and they had the referendum, and in that referendum 61% voted against gay marriage, and the other 39% voted yes. And I was of the view that no, there is no point of voting over gay marriage, because it doesn't concern you if you are not gay. It's like a Christian voting over a Muslim marriage, because a Muslim marriage affects him. It can't. It will never. And even vice versa, it can't affect. So it applies the same to gay marriage. I mean, what's your business? Even how they're going to make children, that's their business. They know how they'll do it, and it's okay. So it's just that these people have this holier than thou attitude, and as I said in the other video, it's because of the colonial mindset and the acquisition of colonial religion that came ingrained in the brains of these people, and so they use that thought processing they use that whole system or edifice of thought to process things like gay marriage, and they realize in their eyes it doesn't make sense when it does. And why I say it does make sense is because sexual union takes place in a gay setting. Yes, it takes place. So as long as it takes place, it is clear there is marriage. You are a potential candidate for marriage, and that is the thing, that the fact that sexual union has taken place. But if you're someone who defines marriage that it is heterosexual, the way the many Christians take it, that it is one man, one woman, that is a heterosexual definition of marriage. To them, there is no other marriage. So basically, this is someone who is using the biblical definition. But they should be aware, it's not only the Bible that has defined marriage. Anybody can define marriage. Even Islam has its definition. Even the same Bible, there are men who married more than one woman, and their marriages were recognized. They even had concubines. So Were they not married? Was Abraham not married? Abraham was married, and even had children from 2 women, and even not only 2 women, 3. And he had concubines also. David, the same, King David, King Solomon. Let's not even go there. I think his seed is all over the world because he was very polygamous. And so was he not married? He was married, because most people take monogamy to mean that it is just one person. They are very literal. It is one. But polygamy is a number of monogamies, because every time you join with a person, that is a union that has taken place, and that is monogamous. But then when it's polygamous, it means you have very many monogamous unions. So polygamy is basically many monogamous unions. So anyway, let's finish with the discussion where we were saying now what was happening to Bermuda. What is happening in Bermuda is the case where people have their own perspective of what they view as a marriage, and so they feel that it is going to upset their perspective of what it is. And the most interesting part of the Bermuda story is not even the banning of the same-gay marriage, but it is the fact that they've repealed what was already allowed. So it is so weird that how do you repeal something that you have allowed? It's very weird. They have questions they do have some questions to answer, and even though they are still under Britain, they do have questions to answer, because Britain has allowed gay marriage. So what happened to them that they decided to repeal what they had already allowed, even though there was a referendum that voted against it? So I am of the view that what is happening in Bermuda, and it can happen in especially very many African heritage places, is that either they rushed to the thing, to gay marriage, and needed to take time to decriminalize homosexuality first of all, and then breathe a bit, and then maybe bring in gay marriage, or they would have used another system, not necessarily a referendum, because as I've said, referendums are not good for subjective issues. You only have a referendum for objective issues, like Brexit was one referendum that was objective, because you have reasons. You are all affected by being in the EU, and you're gaining or you're losing, so everyone can play a part. But a referendum to do with gay marriage, I mean, how many people are gay and married already in that place where you want to hold a referendum? It's like asking a man who whether is he a woman, and that's it's weird. It's very weird, and that's what they did in Bermuda, and they shouldn't do that. In my view, they should let gay people come out and say, we exist, we love one another, and some of us, because it's not everybody marries. Even in the heterosexual world, not everybody marries. So some of us want to marry, and all the court has to do, or the parliament, government, they just need to recognize those people and say, yes, we see you guys exist, you have a community, it is thriving, it is there, and we can allow you. And they just recognize them as a community. Next thing you know, they allow their marriages. They recognize their marriages with ease. No need of any referendum. So, I just needed to make that clear a bit for whoever disliked the video. And that is how it is. So, thank you so much for listening. As I've told you, I've gone through what marriage is all about in my view, and I just know it's a sexual union which in the long term leads to cohabitation, and you can have that, or you can have your other definition, or you just go by the legal definition by the country you're in, which is preferably the best, but should be liberal to allow all unions, because basically governments allow marriages for the record keeping, to know and to have data and to plan for a country. So if you ignore a very big population because you don't like them,